isolated on a remote plantation in the crawling Amazon jungle, and an immense army of ravenous ants is closing in on you, swarming in to eat you alive. A deadly black army from which there is no escape.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson and carefully contrived to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Today we escape to the Amazon jungle and to a creeping, crawling terror, as Carl Stevenson told it in his gripping story, Leiningen versus the Ants.
I first met Leiningen while performing my duty as district commissioner. As my boat neared his plantation landing, I saw him upon the riverbank, regarding me with mild interest. A great hulk of a man with bristling gray hair, bulky nose, and pale eyes. His entire appearance somehow suggested an aging and shabby eagle. He escorted me to the terrace and had a drink brought. I came quickly to the point of my visit and issued my warning. Leiningen puffed placidly at a huge cigar and listened as I told him, unless they alter their course, and there's no reason why they should, they'll reach your plantation in 2 days at the latest.
Uh-huh. Well, it was decent of you paddling all this way just to give me the tip.
Tip?
Commissioner, even a herd of crocodiles couldn't drive me from this plantation of mine.
But these aren't creatures you can fight. They're an elemental force, a gigantic catastrophe. 10 miles long, 2 miles wide, ants, nothing but ants, and each one as big as your thumb, and each of them a fiend from hell. Unless you clear out at once, there'll be nothing left of you but a skeleton, picked as clean as your own plantation will be.
I'm not getting out.
But you can't fight.
Yes, I can. I've got the best weapon there is, Commissioner. Intelligence.
But can't I make you understand the hideous...
I think it is you who do not understand. In the 3 years I've been here, I've met and defeated more than one catastrophe. Flood, drought, a plague. Events which caused many of my neighbors to flee for their lives. No, Commissioner, all my life I have lived with one creed. The human brain needs only to become fully aware of its powers to conquer even the elements.
Leiningen, your obstinacy is endangering not only your own life, but the lives of your workers and their families. You don't know these ants. I tell you, you don't know these ants. But Leiningen merely sat there puffing at his cigar and regarding me with a smug grin, and I knew it was hopeless. As I boarded my launch and cast off, I realized I had never met a man like that, and I could not help
wondering about the strange look in the commissioner's eyes as he boarded his launch and cast off. Undoubtedly, he thought me insane. Well, he would have not been the first to think so. But I, Leiningen, knew my own powers. I was sure of myself. I knew that intelligence, directed aright, always makes man the master of his fate. That night, I called my Indian workers together in front of the plantation house. I saw their faces go ashen with terror as I told them the ants were coming. Watched them as they milled around, muttering. I said nothing more to them. Finally, one of the men stepped forward. Blas, the foreman.
Patron, we have worked hard here for these 3 years. All of us. We have built the finest plantation in this district. We all share in it. It has been a home for all of us and our families. Now, the ants come.
So?
Those ditches we dug last year, the pipe we put in the ground, that was for the ants?
That was for the ants.
If we moved our families across the river, the ants could not reach them?
Yes, that's right. And you?
The ants are mighty. We know what they can do. All of us think that you are mighty. Patron, we will stay with you and fight against the ants.
I knew that the men would give me that answer. I'd counted on it. I thought of the commissioner and wondered what he would say at such unquestioning confidence. Would he still think I was insane?
All that
Or
night,
had
I
he
could not
dismissed
get
me
Leiningen
from
out
his
of my mind. One man who calmly evaluated his chances against a deadly menace, coolly decided he could win and was willing to stake his life on it, to risk a horrible death for it. It was terrifying. And yet, it was fascinating. The next morning, I sent for my assistant. Together, we went to the huge map of the district which hung from a wall of my office and checked the last reported position of the ants.
Last night they had reached here, about 70 miles above this fork in the river.
Traveling southeast.
Yes.
Directly toward Leiningen.
Toward whom, sir?
That plantation at the bend in the river belongs to a man named Leiningen. When would you say the ants will reach there?
Why, I don't know. I imagine about tomorrow noon.
Tomorrow noon, still time.
Still time? What do you mean, sir?
Why, nothing. But what did I mean? Still time for what? For Leiningen to flee, or still time for me to... Even as I rejected the thought with horror, I knew that the fascination of that man was more than I could resist. That Leiningen's fight was drawing me back toward that plantation and death. I knew now past all doubt that I was going back. I had to. It was 10 o'clock in the morning when I rounded the bend and saw Leiningen's plantation before me. I put in at the dock and tied up the launch. Then I saw him, standing on the bank above me, arms folded, stubby cigar in his mouth, and that same smug grin on his face. I made my way up to him.
Well, back with another warning, Commissioner?
No?
Back to stay a while?
Yes.
No.
You don't seem very surprised.
No, I'm not.
You expected me?
I thought you'd be back. Yeah, come along. We've got some horses. You'll want to ride around the plantation. Take a look at the defenses I've rigged up.
Yes, I'll want to see the defenses.
And the ants. We'll be getting a glimpse of them before long, I should think.
Yes. The ants. The defenses Leiningen had devised were quite impressive. Surrounding three sides of the plantation like a huge horseshoe was a ditch 12 feet wide. The ends of this horseshoe-shaped ditch ran into the river which formed the fourth side of the plantation, and at the upriver entrance to the ditch, Leiningen had constructed a dam by which river water could be diverted into the ditch. A large hand wheel controlled the floodgate of the dam, and apparently Leiningen had ordered it opened immediately after my arrival. For as we now approached the ditch and rode along it, I could see that it was nearly full.
How do you like my first line of defense, Commissioner?
It's reassuring, like a moat around a castle.
Unless the ants know how to build rafts, they won't reach the plantation. This is only the outer moat. There's a better one than this. Now, come along. We'll go up on the high ground where the buildings are. We can get a view from there.
Leiningen.
Huh?
I didn't see any women or children around the plantation or any animals.
Yes, that's right. Moving across the river.
And even you think there is danger.
Not because of danger, Commissioner. Matter of efficiency.
Efficiency?
Cuts down on the efficiency of the men if they're worried about their families. Critical situations only become crises when oxen and women get excited.
I see.
Ah, here we are. See this ditch?
It's much smaller than the other.
You've noticed how all the buildings are on this piece of high ground. The inner ditch surrounds them. It's lined with concrete.
But even filled with water, this is no barrier. It's not big enough. Why, if the ants get this far,
They'll get no farther. This ditch wasn't built for water, Commissioner. You see the pipes leading into it? See those storage tanks up on the hill? Petrol. We can throw up a wall of flame. Get a bet they won't like that?
I hope you're right. Leiningen, look! Over at the edge of the jungle, all those animals.
Yes, running like the wind. Everything from jaguars to monkeys.
Good heavens.
Remember, they don't have any ditches.
But can they escape?
They'll be all right as long as they don't get caught between the river and the ants. They can outrun the crawlers. But if they get trapped, it's either the ants or the crocodiles. Commissioner, look! Look over there on the horizon. There are your ants. Look at them!
was a sight I will never forget. Over the range of hills, as far as I could see, crept a darkening hem, ever longer and broader until the shadows spread across the entire slope, then downward, uncannily swift, and all the green herbage on the entire slope was being mowed as by a giant sickle, leaving only the vast moving shadow extending, deepening, and always moving nearer.
They're a hideous lot.
Lineage, we can't last against that. Look at them. Why, they will fill your ditches with their corpses and still have enough to destroy every one of us. We've got to run.
Oh, no, they haven't gotten to us yet, and they never will.
The hostile army was approaching in perfect formation. No human battalions, however well drilled, could ever hope to rival the precision of that advance. Along a front that moved forward as uniformly as a straight line, the ants drew nearer and nearer to the water ditch. As they approached, two outlying wings of the army detached themselves from the main body and started marching along the sides of the ditch, no doubt expecting at some point to find a crossing. And during this hour-long flanking movement, the main army remained still. Across the scant 12 feet of ditch, I stared at them, and they stared back at me. A solid mass, every one as big as my thumb, with reddish-black body and long legs. Suddenly, a sound so unearthly as to freeze our blood jerked our heads in the direction of the jungle on the far side of the ditch. Coming toward the ditch at a stumbling gallop was a singular being, a writhing, animal-like blackened statue with a shapeless head and 4 quivering feet. It was a stag, covered over and over with ants. Lamington threw up his rifle, and the stag fell lifeless to the ground, its agonies at an end. Horrified as I was, my curiosity impelled me to glance at my watch. I had to know how long the ants would take. After 6 minutes, only the white, polished bones of the stag remained. Now I could see a change in Lanigan. Gone was the sporting zest of the novel contest. In its place was a cold, violent purpose. He had to beat the ants because now he knew how long it would take them once they got to us. Around 4 in the afternoon, the ant scouts having found no crossing, there was a stirring among the main army. And then an immense flood of ants about 100 yards in width commenced pouring in a glimmering black cataract down the far slope of the ditch. Thousands drowned instantly, but the rest began using the bodies as bridges. Lanigan immediately swung into action.
Canaya! Get to the dam, open the floodgate a little more. We've got to get the water in the ditch moving faster. Look at them drowned by the thousands.
But they keep coming. Even though the current carries many of them away, they're advancing.
Well, we'll fix them. Boss! How about those shovels and petrol sprinklers? You passed them out to the men?
It has been done, senor.
Then get all hands here in a hurry. This looks like the spot for action. Commissioner.
Yes?
Beginning to see what I was talking about?
What do you mean?
About intelligence being more than a match for anything it tackles. Take the ants. They've got no intelligence. If they had, they'd have attacked along the whole length of the ditch instead of a narrow front like this. And they'd have been across by now. Too bad I'm not running their campaign for them.
You can joke about it like that with the ants halfway across the
All
ditch.
right, man. Busy with the shovels now. Drop some sand and quads on them. See how they like that. You with the petrol sprinklers, start pumping. They don't like it, Commissioner. They don't like it a bit. Look at them.
Yes, but look at the ones on the far side of the ditch. Whole clumps of them rolling into the water. The rest are using them for bridges.
Yes, smarter than I thought. They're widening their front, too.
Some of them are getting across.
Well, grab a shovel then, Commissioner. Make them regret it. What's the matter?
my shovel, senor! Get on my arms!
Into the petrol, idiot! Douse your hands in the petrol! Don't stop now. The rest of you, club them! Club them!
Hold it back, senor! We must run!
Keep at it! Keep at it! Don't stop now! The water's moving faster.
And I'll get the floodgates open.
Yes, they can't hold the road against the current now. Look at him, Commissioner. The water's carrying him away. We beat him. We've won out.
It was true. Leiningen had won, at least the opening round. The floodgates were left open to forestall any night crossing, but when dawn came, the dark blanket was still there, motionless across the ditch. Then we noticed a feverish activity on the other side of the plantation. Here, a grove of tamarind trees lined the far end of the ditch, and every tree swarmed with the crawling insects. But instead of eating the leaves, they were merely gnawing through the stems so that a thick green shower fell steadily to the ground. Well, it looks as if it's feeding time for our friends, eh?
Blas,
Senor.
have all the petrol pumps brought here. Get everyone over here except the lookouts on the other side. And pass out the shovels.
Si, senor.
Going to deprive them of a meal?
A meal?
Aren't they cutting the leaves down for food?
Wish they were. Looks like I underestimated them when I said they didn't have intelligence.
What do you mean?
I said if they wanted to get across, they'd have to have rafts. That's just what they've got. Those leaves are their rafts.
Even as he spoke, the leaves went tumbling down the far bank by the thousands. The current drew them away from the bank, and each leaf carried several ants.
Don't worry, as long as you keep spraying them and shoveling dirt on their rafts, they can't land.
But there will be too many.
It's true. Look, more leaves in the ditch all the time. Why, they'll have a solid carpet to walk across in a minute.
Not so fast, Commissioner. I've still got a trick up my sleeve for them.
The water!
The ditch is drying up.
Yes, of course it's drying up. That's the plan. Those are the orders I sent to the dam.
Are you mad? As soon as it's empty, what's to prevent the ants? Look! The water's way down. It's almost dry. They'll be able to come across the bottom.
They'll not make it. The man at the dam will have opened the gates by now.
To flood the ants?
Right.
But what a chance to take. If anything should
Aha!
happen...
Here it comes. Here comes the water. How we'll give the crawlers in the ditch a good ride. Out into the river. There. Look at them go.
Leiningen's tactics were successful at first. The violent flow of water at the original depth raced through the ditch, overwhelming leaves and ants and sweeping them along. 3 times the ditch was emptied, 3 times the ants raced across its bottom, and 3 times the rushing water, arriving just in time, carried them away. But the 4th time, as the water lowered nearly to the bottom of the ditch, we waited in vain for the rushing water.
Senor!
And then...
Senor!
What's the matter? What's gone wrong with the dam?
The ants! Just as the man at the dam lowered the water almost to the bottom, the ants attacked. Before he could open the floodgate, he was almost surrounded. He ran. The ants kept coming. They are across the ditch.
Leiningen stood motionless, absorbing the news of his defeat without a word. Then he raised his pistol and fired 3 shots into the air. The prearranged signal for all men to retreat instantly to the second line of defense, the concrete ditches more than a mile from the point of invasion. Soon after we arrived there, the natives commenced strangling in, silently. Leiningen waited until all of them had gathered. Then he spoke to them.
Well, lads, we won the first round, lost the second. But we'll smash the crawlers yet. Anyone who thinks otherwise can draw his pay and push off. There are rafts enough on the river and plenty of time still to reach them.
No.
You stay, then. Good. Thank you, lads. And you, Commissioner?
I can't persuade you to give up the fight?
You cannot.
Then I stay, too.
No. I knew you would.
Senor, a few of the ants have reached the ditch.
They're trying to get across.
No, senor.
I didn't think they would. There's plenty of food out there for them. My fields and orchards, a work of 3 years. Ought to last them until morning, anyway.
Yes, we were safe for that night. But the next morning, the black swarm was solid around us, and their shock troops were hard at work. They were dropping shreds of bark and twigs and leaves into the petrol-filled ditches, forming a floating bridge across the surface of the liquid. Leiningen stood silently watching this operation, and I could see a grudging admiration in his face. Then, after several hours, the attack came. Down the ditch they poured, millions of them, and across the bridge of twigs, rapidly approaching the inner side. Lanigan sat motionless, watching them. Lanigan, for the love of God, don't sit there like a statue. They'll be on us in a moment.
Let them fill the ditch first. No. All right. Everyone back. Get back. Blas.
Si, senor.
Hand me the torch.
Si, senor.
Now we'll see how our friends like a little heat.
The flames from the ditch shot into the air, devouring ants by the millions. It was some time before the petrol burned down to the bed of the ditch, but when it did, the devils came back for more. Again, Lanigan fired the ditch to destroy them, and still again they came on. But at each successive firing, the task of the ants grew easier because of the film of ash which now covered the petrol. As they returned to the assault time after time, a slow, sickening horror crept into my mind. I looked quickly at Lanigan, then at the petrol tanks. He read my gaze and nodded slowly.
That's right, Commissioner. They could hold them off forever if our supply of petrol was unlimited, but it isn't. We've got enough to fill the ditch once more.
But, Lanigan, isn't there any way at all? We've got to do something.
Yes, I know. There must be a way. There must... Yes.
What is it?
We'll flood the whole plantation.
Flood? But how?
The river's higher than any point except this high ground we're on.
Huh?
If the river was dammed all the way, it'd overflow that stone breakwater and flood the whole plantation.
But...
We've got to close the floodgate at the dam. That'll do it.
You're mad. The dam is more than a mile away. More than a mile of ants.
Lads, listen to me. Listen, lads, I'm proud of you. Now there's still a chance. By shutting the floodgates in the dam and flooding the whole plantation from the river. The moment I'm over the ditch, set fire to it. That'll allow time for the flood to wash away the ants. Then all you have to do is wait for me.
It's impossible. You can't get to the dam, let alone back.
That's where you're wrong, Commissioner. I'll get there and I'll get back. Take care of things while I'm gone, huh?
I watched him as he calmly pulled on high leather boots, drew gauntlets over his hand and stuffed the spaces between breeches and boots and gauntlets and arms with petrol-soaked rags. He shielded his eyes with close-fitting mosquito goggles and plugged his nostrils and ears with cotton. Then the natives drenched his clothes with petrol. Blas, who acted as doctor to the men, smeared a salve over him, and finally Lanigan was ready. And as he stood calmly surveying...
ready for the run, I realized that this was as it should be. I, Lanigan, would meet the ants and defeat them. Or be defeated by them. No. Lanigan versus the ants. Yes, it was right that it should be like this. But now there was no more time for thought, only action. I took a deep breath, then bounded across the ditch and among the ants. I ran in long, equal strides, and with one thought, one sensation in my being, I must get through. I dodged the trees and shrubs. Except for the split seconds my soles touched the ground, the ants would have no opportunity to alight on me. I ran on. I was halfway to the dam before I felt ants under my clothes and a few on my face. I struck at them mechanically, scarcely conscious of their bites. And the dam grew toward me slowly. The distance grew less. Finally, only 100 yards away. 50. And I was there. I gripped the ant-covered wheel. But hardly had I seized it when a horde of ants flowed over my hands and arms. I strained. Slowly the wheel turned. Turned more. The floodgate was swinging, slowly shut. And then it was shut. And the water was rising. Rising behind the breakwater. Closer to the top. Closer. And then it was spilling over. The flooding of the plantation had begun. I let go of the wheel and started back through the ants. I was coated from head to foot with the fiends. Tongues of fire stabbed at me as they bit into my flesh. I almost lost my head with the pain as I ran, knocking ants from my body, brushing them from my bloody face. And then one bit me just below the rim of my goggles. I managed to tear it away, but its agony of the bite and its venom drilled into the eye nerves. I saw now through circles of fire into a milky mist. I was almost blinded, but I knew that if I tripped and fell... Well, I ran on, my heart pounding as if it would burst, blood roaring in my ears, a giant's fist battering my lungs. Then I could see dimly that wall of flame at the ditch, but it was too far away. I could not last half that distance. I stumbled. I fell. I felt myself being swarmed over, devoured. I tried to rise. A great weight. Then suddenly the vision of the half-devoured stag in my brain. 6 minutes, then nothing but bones. I couldn't let it happen to me. I couldn't die like that. To my feet. To my feet. Drag myself forward. Toward the flame. The ditch. The ring of flame. Closer now. Only a little farther.
It seemed we had waited for hours when all at once, through the blazing ring around us, an apparition hurtled and fell full length on the ground. It was Leiningen, alive with ants, unconscious, with glazing eyes and lacerated face. We rushed to him, stripped off his clothes, and tore at the ants that covered him. His body seemed almost one open wound. In one place, I could see a white bone. Later, as the curtain of flame lowered, I looked out where that blanket of ants had been and saw only a vast expanse of water, covering the entire plantation and working its way to within a few feet of the concrete ditch. The ants were gone, drowned, and Leiningen had won. He lay on his bed, his body swathed from head to foot with bandages, but alive, and still in command.
Everything in order?
Everything's in order.
I told you I'd come back. Nah. Even if I am a bit streamlined.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson and directed by Norman MacDonald, today brought you Leiningen versus the Ants by Carl Stephenson, adapted for radio by Robert Reif with William Conrad as Leiningen and Lou Merrill as the commissioner. Music was conceived by Cy Feuer with Eddie Dunstetter at the organ. Next week,
you are groping through a dark alleyway in the French Quarter of New Orleans, with terror driving you on, and always before your eyes is the malevolent stare of a voodoo man, striking you with a deadly curse from which you must escape.
next week, we escape with William Irish's eerie story of a voodoo-haunted band leader, Papa Benjamin. Goodbye, then, until this same time next week, when we again offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.
You are trapped in the native quarter of Mozambique. 2 dead men at your feet, the police closing in on you, and beside you a sultry girl who offers you escape.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson and carefully contrived to free you from the 4 walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Today we escape to Portuguese East Africa, to the fetid alleys and dangerous rooftops of Mozambique, in the highly incredible yet somehow thoroughly plausible adventure by Percival Gibbon entitled the second-class passenger.
That's me, Ronald A. Dawson, second-class passenger. Oh, I could have afforded first class by pinching a little here and there, but nobody back at Ralston's department store in Cedar Rapids will ever know. The important thing is they'll say, Ronald Dawson in drapery is taking a cruise around the world. And then there's really very little difference in the accommodations. And the second-class passengers are every bit as interesting as the first-class crowd. Take Miss Patterson, for instance. You'd look far to find a more charming, likable, altogether desirable young lady. Just the life of the party. We'd gotten to be quite good friends by the time our cruise put in at Mozambique, although the competition was always stiff, I can tell you. There were times I wish those other two, Jones and Twitchell, had missed the boat somewhere along the line.
Well, we've still a good couple of hours before we sail.
How about a ride in one of these native carriages, Miss Patterson?
Oh, dear, do you think they'd be clean?
Personally, I doubt it.
Although I don't know as I should care too much now. That Wuzo made me so woozy.
Great stuff, Uzo. It would take a Greek to think up a drink like that.
Or to drink it.
Por favor, senor. American gentlemen like to buy trinkets?
No.
Very interesting trinkets. Take a look.
Oh. No. Go away.
You know, we might do the fort, though. The guidebook says it's a main point of interest. Let's see here. It says, built by the Portuguese in 1600.
Oh, dear me. Never mind the statistics. I dare say the fort would be as dreary as the rest of the place.
Oh, yes. Mozambique's not at all like what you'd imagine Mozambique to be like.
No,
That's
no.
a one-horse town, all right. Main street and a couple of alleys.
Oh, yes, and it's so dirty. You know, you'd think that they'd do something about it in this day and age, wouldn't you?
What it like for to buy fine knife?
No.
Field point. Look, all fine work. Him belong big time in Nickachief.
I said no.
Maybe someday wanna need fine sharp knife.
No, now, get out. What did I need a knife for?
To protect yourself from the savage natives, old man.
Oh, dear me. All you'd have to do is call a policeman. There, he isn't doing anything else, you see. Look at him out in the center of the street directing traffic like he was at the corner of State and Madison.
And the traffic consists of 2 donkeys and an ox cart.
Yeah.
Oh, it will be a relief to get back on board ship and have a nice hot bath.
Yes, and some real American food instead of that greasy fried octopus we had for lunch at that Greek place.
Oh, weren't they awful?
Well, it's part of the broadening experience of travel.
Yes, I suppose so. Like that cute idol that I bought. I can't wait to show that to the girls at the bank. They'll just... Mr. Dawson.
Yes, Miss Patterson?
Where is my idol?
Why, I thought Jones had it, or Twitchell.
Well, not me, old man.
No, you insisted on carrying it for Miss Patterson. Don't you remember?
Oh, dear, I must have left it back at the Greek restaurant. I'm so sorry.
Oh, I did so want that idol. Don't you think you could go back for it, Mr. Dawson?
Well, yes, of course. But I wonder if I'll have time before the boat sails.
Oh, I'm sure you will if you hurry.
Certainly, old man. You got more than an hour yet.
You're certain?
Oh, yes. The steward told me.
Then I'll go at once.
Oh, that's very kind of you, Mr. Dawson. Now, mind you don't miss the boat.
I'll try not to. Why, chances are I'll catch up with you before you've reached the landing stage.
We'll wait for you till the very last
I
minute.
could have throttled that supercilious Jones, insisting I had time. I knew there was time, but I had no desire to run off after a heavy bronze curio and leave Jones and Twitchell alone with Miss Patterson. She was too nice a person, and they were such dreadful bores. Yes, and I suspected them of being phonies, too. But there was no helping it now, so I made my way back up the main street toward Lazarus Restaurant, where we'd had our indigestible Greek lunch. Somehow, this main street of Mozambique looked different now in the quick African twilight. The little saloons and sidewalks were filling with men of every nationality and color. Many of them wore knives thrust through the belts of their thin white suits. Knives that looked as sharp as the glances that they threw at me. I must confess I felt a little strange and unwanted. Then, lounging toward me in the crowd, I saw a large woman, clad in sort of burnous, but her brown face unveiled. She had very wide lips, and they were painted scarlet. And from the corner of her mouth, she dangled a cigarette. Her eyes were heavily mascaraed, and when she looked at me slowly, terror seized me. I was afraid she would speak to me. I didn't know what I should do or say, but she didn't. Instead, she laughed. And the way the loiterers responded, I was convinced that they were laughing with her at me. I must say I was relieved to reach the entrance of Lazarus' restaurant.
Good evening, sir. A little dinner for the gentlemen?
No, thank you. As a matter of fact, I just lunched here today. Very good. Excellent meal.
Thank you, sir.
I left a curio here, probably under the table. Have you found it?
Curio?
Yes. Some sort of a brass god. It was wrapped in newspaper.
Oh, yes. We got him right here for you.
Oh, that's good. That's fine. I'm in a hurry to get back to the boat.
Yes, you better hurry. Pretty soon she rain.
Rain? Why, there's not a cloud in the sky.
You see. Every night she rain in Mozambique.
Well, you ought to know, but I still doubt it. Here, buy yourself a cigar.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. You hurry quick before she rain.
Oh, don't worry about me. I'm not made of sugar, you know. In just the few moments I had been inside the restaurant, night had fallen. That sudden nightfall of the tropics. I looked overhead and clearly saw the stars. Thinking what a bad weather forecaster the Greek was, I tucked Miss Patterson's silly bronze idol under my arm and started off for the waterfront. I hadn't gone 200 yards when a large, warm drop of rain splattered on the back of my neck, then 2 more on my hat. And before I could take cover under an arch, it was raining like Iowa in April. It didn't look like it would let up soon, and I wondered if there might not be a shorter way to the waterfront than the long walk down the main street and then the long way to the left along the docks. Surely one of these alleys that turned off to the left would lead me directly to the harbor and the landing stage. So I left the protection of the archway and turned into the alley at my left. 4 steps from the main street, and I was engulfed in darkness, wading through filth and mud over my ankles. But I was certain that I was on the right track, so I walked on and ran straight into a blank wall. I turned to retrace my steps, but I could see no lights anywhere. I felt along the wall until it gave into another alley, followed it to another blank wall, and thence into another one. And now I knew I was lost. And now it began to rain in earnest. It roared, it pelted, it stamped, it whipped, it stung, it thrashed. In a moment, I was drenched to the skin. If it was dark before, it was now black as a tomb. I struggled onward because it was too terrible to stand still and be beaten to the earth by the sheer weight of the rain. I don't know how far I walked through those foul and fetid passageways, nor for how long. But at last, feeling my way around a corner, I saw a slit of light, a horizontal flicker beckoning beneath the door. And I heard voices. I lifted the bronze idol and rapped on the door with it, and the voices stopped.
What do you want?
I've lost my way. I'm wet through, and I don't know where I am. Please let me in. Please let me in.
Of course you may come in. You aren't exactly who we expected, but come in. Come in.
I walked into a room that was unfurnished, save for a littered table and some chairs, and a gaudy picture of the Virgin that hung on the wall. On each side of it was a sconce, in which a slovenly candle guttered. A woman was perched on a corner of the table, a heavy shawl over her head. Under it, the dark face, propped in the fork of her hand, glowed sullenly, and her bare white arm was like a menacing thing. In a chair near her, a grossly fat man was huddled, scowling heavily under thick, fair brows, while the other man, he who had opened the door, stood smiling. The woman laughed softly and pointed to the image dangling in my hand.
What is that?
I beg your pardon?
That parcel you are carrying.
Parcel? Oh, it's a curio, an idol of some sort. A friend of mine left it at a restaurant this afternoon.
And you? You are a tourist from the cruise boat?
Yes, that's right. How did you know?
What are you doing here so late and so wet? The boat sails soon.
I know. I was trying to take a shortcut to the landing stage. I got lost somehow. I came ashore with some friends from the second class. I left them to come back and fetch this idol, and, well, here I am.
Give the young man the chair, Egon.
Oh, thank you, but I must go on as soon as the rain stops. If you can
It
direct
will
me
not
to...
stop for a while yet. You may as well wait right here.
Yes. We may be able to provide some entertainment for our second-class tourist. As soon as your friends arrive, my dear.
Friends. The police are not my friends.
You led them to us.
Would you walk about with your knives forever while I take all the risk?
Risks?
7 months you have done what you willed, untouched. I bought you freedom for 7 months with smiles and lies. Now you take your turn. One uses a knife, one goes to prison. 1 month, 3 months, 6 months. Who knows?
You could have talked with the prefect of police again.
Again and again. And for what? Life is not spending money. One pays for living, my friend. With work. Sometimes with jail. I have paid. Now it is your turn.
You could have helped us once more. Only once more and we could have been out of this sewer and down the coast to Lorenzo Marx or Cape Town.
Why didn't you? Why didn't you help us once more?
Yes, why?
Always you say once more. Once more. Now there is no more.
You are a sheep-pig, debauched daughter
I
of...
beg your pardon, sir.
What?
That's no way to speak to a lady. I'm serious. I don't like to hear such language used to a lady. I must ask you to apologize.
What have you got to do with this?
You just came in out of the rain from the second class.
Please, please. Don't fight with him. There's trouble enough already.
But what right has he got to come in here and...
Yesterday you stabbed the Egyptian.
What of it?
Don't stab this one. You want the police to find you here with a corpse?
A corpse?
Well, does it matter how the police find us? We wait for them because we have no choice. You put them on us. We should do away with you.
Why do you lie? Even to yourself. Why must you hide your own blame behind my skirts? Great Mother of Heaven, you are neither man nor beast. You are just...
Don't go on. Don't you dare say it.
Dare. You are just a ladron.
No one says that to me and lives.
He's got a knife.
Ladron! Ladron!
I'll tell
No,
you.
you don't.
I'll see
Stand back or I'll brain you with this idol.
You'll do what you think. I carry only a knife. Oh.
Pig! Dog! I waited for this! You forgot. I carry a knife.
Oh. Oh. Look what I did to him with this bronze idol. Horrible. Horrible.
It makes a good weapon, your idol. It was a grand blow. A king's blow. Oh, you cannot help him now.
I killed a man with this little curio. And you've killed another with your knife. 2 men murdered. I must get back to the ship. You must come with me.
To the ship? Oh, la la. You think I'd be welcome in the second class?
Well, I don't know. We
must get out of here. The police will be here any minute.
The police?
Yes. Come. It is not raining so hard now. Quiet. The police. They have come for these 2. They will be on both sides of us. Here, hold my hand.
Yes.
Stand perfectly still. I will tell you when it's safe to move.
Cuidado. Esos todos son peligrosos. Sí, sí, abra la puerta. Sí, vamos.
Now. They are all around us, so they won't hear us. Come, now.
Where are we going?
We are escaping. But if you know from what we are escaping, you would not care. Where? Hurry. Hang on to my hand and hurry. They have found the bodies. Now they are after us.
What will we do?
There is a door nearby. We must find it. Feel along the wall here. Harder. Harder. It must be here.
Yes, here it is.
Push it in.
It won't budge. It's bolted from inside.
You must push it in. It's the only way.
Here, hold this idle for me.
I have it.
Now. Not yet.
Hit it again.
It's giving.
Once more. Good. My friend, my great, strong friend. Up these stairs now, quickly.
Where are we going now?
To the roof. Wait. Huh? The rain has stopped.
Yes. The stars are coming out.
There is your ship out in the harbor.
I must get to it.
Listen. You hear them? The police again. We are not safe yet. Over the wall to the next roof. Hurry. Now, over to the next parapet.
Up you go. Are you all right?
Come. Up quietly.
What's that down there? A tent?
Yes. People are asleep. You must walk like a rat.
Who are they?
Who knows? If they see us, they will think you have come to rob them.
Oh, but we could say...
There would be nothing to say. Shh. Someone is crawling out of the tent.
A man. With a sheet wrapped around him. He's coming this way.
Yes.
Why hasn't he seen us?
His eyes are clouded with sleep, perhaps.
If he sees us?
It will be too late.
Then he won't. That took the fight out of him.
Take my little knife. Here, just a prick and he's quite safe.
Oh, no, he's still enough now. He won't harm us. I really did him in, didn't I?
It was splendid. With only the bare hands to take an armed man.
Armed? I didn't know he was armed.
Of course. Of that you may always be sure. Look, there in his belt.
A dagger.
Ah, you are truly magnificent, my friend. You are a man.
You are a woman.
Then?
A wonderful woman.
I was wondering when you would kiss me. When you took offense at what the Russian said to me. I knew you would. But I wonder how soon.
Yes. Yes, I suppose I knew too. In a way. At least I thought how much I'd liked, but I wouldn't have had the courage before all this, I suppose.
Courage. You courage is of the lion.
Thank you. I wonder if we're far from the landing stage now. I mustn't miss my boat, you know.
You want to go back to the second class?
Well, naturally. That's what I was trying to do when I knocked on your door. Goodness, I miss my dinner as it is.
Miss your dinner? Yeah, that is so. But haven't you gained something else?
What?
Me. Look. Look at me. Is it nothing, friend, that you have saved me for yourself?
Well,
Oh, you conquer men as though you were bred under the roofs of Mozambique. You fight like a hero. A rush, a blow, a tumble. You have them lying at your feet. Are you not glad, friend, that it was all for this? For me. Ah, kiss me.
I'd fight. I'd fight for you as long as there was anyone to fight.
You would. I know you would.
You lead on.
Where?
Wherever you will.
Come.
Of course, I don't expect you to believe this. Looking back, I'm still unsure it really happened to me. It's as though I dreamed it. Well, I don't know how many roofs we crossed after that. A dozen, perhaps. Maybe 20. It was mad, I know, but I must have surrendered completely to the wild spirit of the African coast. I didn't seem to see the great ship lying out in the harbor, her lights blinking with the comforts of civilization in the second class. All my senses were focused on this slim, breathtaking figure leading me across the rooftops to a shadowy destination in which only one thing was certain. She would be there. I suppose in that moment, armed only with the bloody bronze idol, I was invincible. At last, she led me down a creaking wooden stair that hung precariously on the sheer side of a house. And once more we were in the mud of a gloomy alley. Hand in hand, we made our way down the alley and out into a little square where a night breeze rustled in the palms and smelled of the sea. And across the way, a dim light showed through a big open door.
The little church of San Sebastian.
Oh.
Onde pensa que você vai?
The police.
After all this?
Não tenta escapar.
Ok. É que você quer comigo?
Eu tenho ordens de prendê-la.
Por quê? Eu não fiz nada.
Veremos. Me acompanhe agora.
Vamos. Vamos, capitão. Devia haver maneira de resolver isto.
Esta vez não pega mal. Você está presa.
What's the matter with him? What's he want?
He says he won't let me go.
The devil he won't. What's he want you for?
Oh, my friend. These little policemen, they always arrest me when they get a chance. It is tiresome.
Está bem, deixe de conversar e me acompanhe.
But listen, copper. Scram, see? Take it on the lam. Take a powder.
Que disse, do contrário será preso também.
I said scram.
Run! Run before he can get to his feet. No, not that way. Into the church, to sanctuary. My magnificent one. You fear no one. You fight for me, so long as there is anyone to fight.
Yes.
Now there will always be someone to fight. They will never leave us alone.
Will they follow us in here?
These police may do anything. But I know one door they will not dare follow us through.
What is that?
Come, this way. Here, this door. First, I must wrap my skirts close. Now, come cleanly through the middle. Please do not rub the walls as you come. There. We are safe for a while. They will not follow us through that door.
Why not?
It was the door of the lepers.
The door of the...
Oh, it's all right. We did not touch the portals. See, down the alley. The lights of the waterfront.
Yes. Where do we go now?
We have a little time now to breathe the clean air of the harbor. And then, I know a little place where... Someone is coming. Stay back in the shadow until they have passed.
Something to write home.
Listen.
What is it?
I wonder what's happened to good old Dawson. Oh, he's drenched, no doubt.
I do hope he's found my idol.
The idol. I must return the idol.
No, don't. My friend, this is the greatest danger of all.
Goodbye.
Don't go. Magnificent one. Don't go.
I must. Goodbye. Hello there.
It's Mr. Dawson.
Got here before you, it appears.
Yes, did you find the idol?
Yes, but for a moment there, I was afraid I should miss the boat.
I say, old man, you're a bit disheveled.
Yes, I got caught in the rain.
And my idol. Oh, dear, Mr. Dawson, you've got it all dirty.
Yes, it is a bit mussed. I dropped it once or twice, I fear.
Well, that was clumsy of you, Dawson.
Oh, well, it's nothing that a little soap and water won't put to rights, I dare say. Well, come on, we'd better hurry along. I'd hate to have to spend any more time in this dreadful place.
And so should I.
Yeah, there's the whistle. That's the last warning, no doubt. Come on, everybody.
Yes, coming. Dawson, don't stand there mooning. We'll miss the boat.
Yes, in just a moment.
Oh, say, there's someone standing there in the shadow of the alley.
I'm not sure. I thought for a moment...
It's funny. I could have sworn I saw you wave goodbye to someone.
Perhaps I did. To Mozambique, to adventure, and romance.
Oh, that's good. That's very good. Adventure, romance, and this pest hole?
Twitchell, what would you say if I told you I had just killed a man, fled over the rooftops of the city, made love to a beautiful woman, fought the police, escaped through the leper's
Oh,
gate...
great heavens, Dawson. I'd say you had the wildest imagination I'd ever heard of. Nothing like that ever happens to a second-class passenger.
No, I suppose you're right. Nothing like that ever happens to a second-class passenger. Except in dreams. Come on, Twitchell, we'll miss the boat.
Escape, produced by William N. Robeson and directed by Norman MacDonald, has brought you The Second-Class Passenger by Percival Gibbon. Adapted for radio by Mr. Robeson with Harry Bartell as Dawson, Jeanette Nolan as the woman, and Kathy Lewis as Miss Patterson. Original music conceived by Cy Feuer with Eddie Dunstetter at the organ. Next week...
You were isolated on a remote plantation in the crawling Amazon jungle, and an immense army of ravenous ants is closing in on you, swarming in to eat you alive. A deadly black army from which there is no escape.
Next week, we escape with Carl Stephenson's terrifying story, Leiningen versus the Ants. Goodbye, then, until next week at this same time, when again we offer you Escape. This is CBS, the Columbia Broadcasting System.